Hello friends, you're watching in English. My name's Inna and this is a channel about two main things: the English language and also learning languages in general, all languages. And this video was supposed to be part of the previous video, or those two videos were supposed to be one, but I decided to split it into two. And so the previous video was about the theory of how to do shadowing, so the shadowing technique. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to do it, like how exactly I do it, and I will also give you some additional tips on how to do it. Yeah, that's it. Enjoy watching.
Hi, hello. So I know this is a little bit messy, but this is the only way I have come up with of how it can show you how exactly you can do shadowing and how I do it. So I don't know, you'll have to put up with it. Right. So the first video we're looking at is well, it's not an interview. It's just a show where Adele tries some British foods and comments on them and recalls some occasions in her childhood when she tried them and stuff like that. And this type of video, well, interviews and this kind of shows is the first of the types of video that can be good to do shadowing, mostly because you can see the person most of the time, so you can actually see what they're saying, how they're saying it, how they're moving their mouth. And the second important thing is that the subtitles to these videos, because this one, for example, is produced by British Vogue. So you can be pretty sure that somebody has proofread the subtitles, that they're probably not automatically generated. Even if they are, they have been proofread by someone. So you can rely on those subtitles. And so for example, for this video, I've checked. So I opened the subtitles in the video, but I mean, though they were exactly what I could hear. So yeah, you can rely on them. Right, so we've got the text on the right. This is a very short piece of text, right? Really, really short. But when you do shadowing, you can do it on really short text, just like one sentence, two sentences. I used to take one sentence, memorize it, memorize the way it was pronounced, and you know, when I would go for a walk, I would just repeat that sentence, you know, on and on and on. Sometimes aloud, sometimes just in my mind, and that will help. Yeah. So that's something you can try as well. But here I'm also taking this short piece just for the sake of time, because I don't want this video to be too long. What do we do? So we've got the text. This is the first step, right? Or one of the first steps, you need to prepare the text. Next, we need to listen to how she says it. So let's listen to her with normal speed and just follow the text, okay?
On to the next one. Hang on, I need to feel it. Oh. Oh. Smoked mackerel. Oh, that reminds me of my mum. My mum used to love making mackerel and rice.
That's it, right? So very short piece. Let's go back now. I don't know if you like Adele's accent. People say that it's more or less Cockney, although there are, you know, bits of other accents in there as well, but like more or less it's Cockney. If you don't know what Cockney is, then you can just Google it. And actually, this would also be a very good place to start. So you've chosen a person you would like to imitate. Yeah. Then just because you like the way they sound. and it can be any person. But if this person is more or less famous or really famous, a celebrity like Adele, you can also Google, or you can look for it on YouTube, what kind of accent they've got. There is a chance that someone has already done a video on this person's accent, or maybe that you can at least find what kind of accent they speak. And then you Google this accent and you read around about what features this accent has. Or again, you can watch YouTube videos. There are loads of videos on YouTube about different accents. So that's something you can do. And you learn about this accent, and then next time you listen to this person, you can actually, you know what you're going to hear, and you know what you're going to imitate. Right. Now, what you can do at the beginning is slow down the speed. Sorry, it's in Russian, but you will be able to find the same settings, right? So we go to settings and change the speed. I don't know. Okay, let's take the slowest. And now we can really observe how she pronounces every word.
Very yummy.
No, that's too slow. So 0.5.
Good. Next one. I need to feel it.
Okay, hang on. So you can see from here, you can hear that she doesn't pronounce hang on very clearly. It's like, it's very short. It's very fast. It's just hang on, something like that. So you can already learn from this video that, oh, okay, native speakers don't always pronounce their words clearly. I don't know if you don't know that by now. But then she says, I need to feel it. And you can really hear this long E in feel.
Next one. I need to feel it.
I need to feel it. I need to feel it. And that's something you can work on. So you probably already know that there's the so-called short E and the long E in English, although they're not only different in terms of length, they're also different in terms of quality. And again, you can read on that. But even if you don't know that, and you just know that the length is different, then you can hear it here with this feel it, feel it, feel it, she says. And we have this long E in feel and the short E in it, feel it. Yeah. One of the questions that I mentioned that you can ask yourself is, sorry, I'll go back to the normal speed. One of the questions you can ask yourself is, how is what the person says different from what I expect? Yeah, from what I learned in my English classes, or from what I learned by looking up the pronunciation in the dictionary. How is it different? Yeah. So let's have a listen.
Next one. I need to feel it.
I need to feel it. I need to feel it. I don't really hear a d and a t in need to, right? She doesn't say need to. She says need to, need to, need to. That's all I can hear, right? Interesting.
On to the next one. I need to feel it.
I need to feel it. I need to feel it. That's all I can hear. And now you can think about it. Well, I can tell you the rule, of course. Whenever you have two plosive sounds together, t, k, and b, d, g, those are the plosive sounds in English. Well, sometimes other sounds as well, but the primary rule is about the plosive sounds. Consonants. Whenever you have two plosives connected in speech, the first plosive is usually either not pronounced, so it can be dropped, or it gets transformed in some way, but usually it's just not pronounced. So when we say neater, you can mostly hear the t or only hear the t from to, and not the d from neater. And then also, I need to feel it, says she. And there's no T in it. Yeah. What I usually do is, I don't know, you can really mark it in any way, right? Well, you can do whatever you like. You can also do it on a piece of paper. But just to show you, you could do things like that. You could just cross out those letters to show to yourself that you don't hear those sounds, that they're not there. Yeah. Let's have another listen.
They were yummy and very nostalgic. So the next one. I need to feel it.
I need to feel it, feel it, feel it. Well, if you know something about pronunciation, you would actually expect a glottal stop or a glottal T instead of the T, the normal T in it. You would expect this it. The glottal stop is basically what you do when you say something like oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. So this uh-oh, something that we do between the and o, uh-oh. Yeah, we stop the flow of air in our throat, in our glottis. That's why it's called a glottal stop. And speakers of British English, some speakers of British English, well, no, most speakers of British English, but use this glottal stop, some of them more, some of them less. And you would expect it in it, feel it. But when I've just done it in a but when I listen to her, I don't hear this glottal stop very clearly.
Found you. On to the next one. I need to feel it.
Feel it. No, it's there. It's just not very it's just not very clear, but it's still there. It's just a very soft glottal stop. Feel it. Feel it. That replaces the t. Yeah. What else you can hear maybe is that when we combine the l and I, you can hear it really well, how the l sound is pretty soft. Yeah, feel it, feel it. It's a l, pretty soft. Again, in so if we're talking about phonology, that would be called light, the light l. So in English, we've got the dark l and the light l. The dark l is usually used at the end of words. For example, if you say tell, or, so using the so-called dark or, where the tongue is curved and you place the tip of your tongue on the alveolar ridge, kind of like that. Or, you can see my tongue a little bit. Or, yeah, sorry, I'll move myself back. Or, hell. While the light, l is pronounced with your tongue, it's in a flatter position, like it's flatter than for the dark l. So your tongue will be placed like that, kind of. And we usually use it before a vowel. So at the beginning of a word, for example, as in light, or when we connect two words together, as in feel it, they kind of become one word pronunciation wise, and we use this light l, feel it. And this light l is not a feature of all English accents. For example, in the American accent is, well, I'm not an expert, okay, but as far as I know, it's either not very frequent or just not there at all in American English, I think. So they don't say light. They never say light. They say something like light, light. Yeah, with a dark all at the beginning. I think so. But again, I'm not an expert. Sorry if I made a mistake there. Hope not. And yeah, that's maybe something you can hear as well. Okay, let's continue. What else can you learn when you are doing this, when you're doing shadowing?
Oh. Oh.
Those are interjections. Oh, 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 oh. And why not learn the interjections? I think such, you know, words that we use to react to things that are used to express our emotional state are sometimes the hardest to learn, because we revert back to our native language, right? When we're angry, when we want to curse, when we're in pain, or when we're surprised. Whenever emotions are involved, I think we revert back to our native language, because yeah, it's kind of deeper somewhere in the brain, and that's fine. And it's just interesting to learn how how speakers of other languages use words to react to things and to express emotions.
Hang on, I need to feel it. Oh. Oh. Smoked mackerel.
Smoked mackerel. Smoked mackerel. What can you learn there? You can see from the context, like from the video, that she's pretty sure. And you can relate that to the way she pronounces this, smoked mackerel. Intonation can be pretty hard. This is indeed where talent, or well, in this case, a good ear does play a role. So if someone tells you that it doesn't matter at all, then that's not true. Yes, when we're talking about pronunciation, but not about sounds, okay? When we're talking about pronunciation, when we're talking about intonation, a good ear does play a role. It does help. And sometimes people who are good at music, for example, they pick up the intonation of the language they learn naturally without having to ever study it. Just a quick note, that doesn't apply to sounds, as I've already said, because I can hear that from people a lot, or even in the comments to my videos, they say, well, you must have got a good ear for languages, and that's why you can imitate the pronunciation very well. No, that's not how it works. These sounds, what you need to reproduce the sounds well is knowledge. So you just need to know how and why the sounds are formed a certain way. And you also need very good mind-muscle connection, just like you do when you do yoga or Pilates. You need to have control over your mouth, over your tongue, and that can be developed. Again, if you've ever done a Pilates class, you know how, at first it is pretty difficult to control your body and, to move it a certain way and to make it move a certain way, because you're not used to this kind of movement. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the easier it gets to kind of connect your mind and the specific muscle you're working on, and to really feel if this muscle is working or not. Do you know what I mean? A similar thing happens when we're talking about the imitation of sounds. You really need this command or control of your mouth in order to imitate the sounds. And you also need to know, how to use your tongue just like before when I talked about the dark and the light l, I said that, oh, okay, for the dark l, we place a tongue like that, and for the light l, it's more like that. And if you don't have any control of what your tongue does, then you will not be able to feel it. So it's not really about musicality or a good ear, yeah, for music. It's more about this mind-muscle connection and muscle control and knowledge, of course. Yeah. So in this case, but in this case, it's intonation. So you do need to at least some understanding of pitch, or like the height of your of the voice. You need to be, if you are tone deaf, then that is going to be really hard. And I will leave a link in the description box to a test that you can do where you will see if you are tone deaf or not. Because if you are, then yes, learning intonation and music is going to be really hard. If you're not, then you can learn to do it, even if you can't do it at this moment. Let's listen to it again.
On to the next one. Oh, I need to feel it. Oh. Oh. Smoked mackerel.
Smoked mackerel. Smoked mackerel. Smoked. No, it's not like that. Sorry. Smoked mackerel. So what the kind of intonation pattern that she uses would be smoked mackerel. Smoked. So first it's she starts higher. It's this level tone. She doesn't, change the pitch of her voice a lot. She just says smoked mackerel. Mackerel. Well, that's pretty low for me. I don't have such low voice as she does. So repeating it exactly as she does is hard for me, which is an important point as well. If if your voice is different from the voice of the person you're imitating, that's fine. You don't have to imitate them like exactly the way they speak. You just it's just more or less, just the general intonation contour. Smoked mackerel, I could say. Smoked mackerel. Smoked mackerel. Another thing you can hear is that mackerel may be a new word for you. That's the type of fish. Yeah. So you can look it up in a dictionary, and you will see that the pronunciation in the dictionary, like the transcription, would be mackerel, mackerel with a l at the end. And then you can just think to yourself, do I actually hear a l at the end? Not sure.
Smoked mackerel.
Mackerel, mackerel, mackerel. That's what I can hear. Is there something like, okay, let me just type it. Macro or something like that? Is that what you can hear as well? Well, that's what I can hear. Something like macro. What do I do with it? Well, that's weird. And then again, as I've already said, it's really useful to find out what kind of accent this person has, and then read about this accent. And if you read about Cockney, then you will find out that by the way, the dark l, so the l that is supposed to be pronounced at the end of a word, as for example in mackerel. So when there's a pause after it, or when there's no vowel following. So this dark l, where we place our tongue like this, in Cockney is very often transformed into the vocalized l, the so-called vocalized l. Well, basically what happens is that you do put your tongue in the position for the dark L, but you don't touch the alveolar ridge. Oh, I didn't say what the alveolar ridge is, but you can Google it. But basically, it's this part of your mouth over your teeth, inside your mouth, over there. Yeah. And when we pronounce this vocalized L, the tongue doesn't touch the alveolar ridge. I do put it in the position, but I just don't touch the alveolar ridge. So it becomes a oh. Speakers of Polish might recognize a sound from their language, right? So macro. Sometimes some phoneticians say that this sound is also very close to the w sound, and you will even see people transcribing it with the help of a w, like macro, which I don't 100% agree with, because while it can sometimes, well, sometimes yes, can be similar to the what sound, but I mean, for the what sound, we do actually, you know, press our lips together, we bring them together real close, but I don't say macro or macro. And Adele doesn't either, yeah. So I don't really like it, but it's, yeah, macro. So I just don't touch the alveolar ridge with my tongue, macro. And if you read about it and then you hear it in Adele's speech, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's really a thing. Okay, interesting. That's something I can learn as well. I can learn to do it even. I mean, if you want to. Right. Okay, we'll move on to the next video now, okay? And see if there's anything else that we can discuss there. Okay, the next type of videos that you can use, I will try to be faster this time, okay? The next type of videos that you can use is vlogs by bloggers. Again, sorry, I will switch off the subtitles. Again, if it's a really big YouTuber with a vlog, most probably they will really go the extra mile to make sure that their subtitles are correct. They will usually add them manually and not just generate them automatically. So that's good. Also in vlogs, you can very often see those, you know, you can, the camera is often placed really close to the face. So you can again see what the person does with their lips, with their mouth, which is really nice. In this case, it's sorry, I don't really follow any vlogs, so it's just the first I mean, well, why am I saying sorry? I don't know, maybe because like it's an old video, okay? It's not a new one, it's like 1 year old, and yeah, I usually go for videos that are more recent, and there are no new videos on that channel, so yeah, sorry about that. But this is basically the only vlog that I could, you know, quickly remember, and so yeah, I decided to use this one. Because yeah, Lucy, who's also English with Lucy, right? She keeps doing videos for English with Lucy, but not for this lifestyle channel of hers. But yeah, this was the only one I can remember. And she is talking about her jumper in this part, and you can see her face pretty close, which is great.
My mum and dad got
my mum and dad. So let's begin immediately. What can you hear? My mum and dad. So maybe what you can hear, if yeah, by the way, you can decide each time which feature, or like which part of pronunciation you're going to be working on. So let's say that this time you decided to work on rhythm, and you're interested in how native speakers or non-native speakers, how any kind of speaker segments their speech. Where do they place the pauses? How do they connect words? And if you listen to Lucy, so in this case, you can hear that she connects my mum and dad, and then there's a really short pause there between my mum and dad. Let's listen further.
Mum and dad got it for my Christmas present this year.
Again, you can probably hear that there's another pause after and dad, and then after got it, and then you have my Christmas present.
But not quite yet, so I've decided to bring the spring to you with this jumper. My mum and dad got it for my Christmas present this year.
For my Christmas present. Sorry, not very beautiful, but this year. Yeah, so it's my mum and dad got it for my Christmas present this year. I'm not gonna do those under every word, so you will just understand that if I separated a certain part of the sentence, then all the words within these boundaries will be pronounced basically as one word. This is, again, if you read on rhythm in English, this is something English speakers do. They separate their utterances in parts and they connect words within those parts. We can call them rhythmic groups. And within each rhythmic group, there will be one or more words that are going to be stressed, and there are going to be 0 to, again, I don't know, as many as you like, but probably up to 5, 7, or whatever, words that are unstressed. And there is, again, a rule for that. I will just briefly, I will try and summarize the rule for you now. The stressed words are usually nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. So all of those verbs that are, full of meaning, yeah? Or they're usually called lexical words. While the so-called grammatical words, those are usually articles, a, the, and those could be prepositions, to, from, for. Those could be, well, many pronouns as well. I, he, she, my, this, these. Those words are usually not stressed, although there are some exceptions to this rule, and some words, for example, some words, they are stressed in some cases and unstressed in others, so yeah, it can be difficult, but the general rule is that lexical words are stressed, grammatical words are not stressed. So you can even guess which words will probably be stressed here and which will be not. So if we just think about it, we think you can maybe anticipate that my is going to be unstressed and mum is going to be stressed and is going to be unstressed. A conjunction. Dad is going to be stressed. Got, a verb, is going to be stressed. It, a pronoun, is probably going to be unstressed. For, a preposition, will probably be unstressed. My, as well. Christmas present, both lexical words, will probably be stressed. This year, well, hard to say. Well, year probably. With this, hard to say because this, the demonstrative pronouns, yeah, you never know. But okay, and I thought, oh, sorry, that should be a thought, and I thought it's interesting that I wrote a thought because that's exactly how she pronounces it. She doesn't pronounce the t at the end of thought. She says, and I thought that. Yeah, that's not why I dropped it. Yeah, And is probably going to be unstressed. I unstressed. Thought is probably going to be stressed. And that, I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Let's give it another listen.
And I thought that I always... Hello everyone, it's nearly spring, but not quite yet. So I've decided to bring the spring to you with this jumper. My mum and dad.
My mum and dad. You can really hear it, right? My mum and dad.
Got it for my...
Got it. Got it. Sorry, we'll have to go
this
back.
jumper. My mum and dad got it for my Christmas present this year.
For my Christmas present. For my Christmas present. This year.
And I thought that...
And now something interesting happens. You anticipated that I would not be stressed, but the way she pronounces it, you can clearly hear that she does stress the I. And I thought that. Why? You can think why, and then, well, I mean, there can't be one answer, right? But you can at least ask yourself and just think and analyze and think. And I thought that. Well, maybe it's just the way such utterances are pronounced. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I can incorporate it in my speech, and next time I'm talking, I can say, and I thought that it was a bad idea, and I thought that I could try it, and I thought that, yeah, do you see what I mean? Okay, and the other part of the rule is that the unstressed words often get they're often converted or they're often pronounced as weak forms. So those are called weak forms. And if you look at Cambridge Dictionary, or it's dictionary.cambridge.org. So that's the online Cambridge Dictionary. They will actually give the transcription for those words like as the strong forms and the weak forms. So you will see that, for example, the word and is pronounced as and in its strong form, but it will be pronounced as in its weak form. And that's exactly the way Lucy pronounces it.
To you with this jumper. My mum and dad.
And dad, and dad, and dad. Yeah, so it's not and dad, it's and dad, and dad. So the and got transformed into and dad. My mum and dad got it. Yeah. Same happens with for example. We don't say for my Christmas present, and that's not how Lucy says it.
Got it for my Christmas present this.
For my. So for is transformed into for my Christmas present
this year. And I thought that
again, what happens, and is transformed into n, and that is transformed into that, and I thought that, and that's what happens. Again, yes, it is difficult to know that if you don't know the theory, if you don't know the rules. And I suggest now that if you're really interested in pronunciation, then I will leave the link to another video of mine where I talked about learning pronunciation, and I left a lot of links in the description box to that video, including to some textbooks that you can use and a lot of YouTube channels that you can also, where you can watch videos about phonology, phonetics, about accents, about the pronunciation of English. But textbooks are also always a good option. Yeah. Our last video now, I just decided that, well, okay, why not entertain you a little bit? I decided not to comment on the American accent because I'm not as I've already said, I'm not an expert and I don't want to embarrass myself doing an American accent in front of you. And yeah, but I can do the best Spanish accent that I've got. And yeah, for those of you who are learning Spanish, I can really recommend this channel, which is called Spanish After Hours. I love it. And so this is another type of videos that you can use to do shadowing. These videos, so Laura, the woman who's making these videos, so these videos are intended for learners of Spanish. So they're slower. Her speech rate is slower in such videos. She repeats some words. She makes sure that her speech is intelligible. She uses, mostly she uses like intermediate ish vocabulary with, you know, some more advanced words here and there. And if you are not yet there, if you're not yet at C2, you can still do shadowing by using simpler speech and simpler videos. But I would still suggest that you read at least a little bit or watch some videos about the pronunciation in that language. Yeah. Okay, what next? So other things that you can do is, I've already said, another thing you can do is, so shadowing is not only about listening, right? Although listening is probably the most important part. Listening and yeah, again, knowing the rules and comparing what you hear to what you already know, and also repeating just, you know, separate words and maybe short phrases. But what you can also do is, of course, shadow the whole text once you're done. And again, it can be really short, just, you know, 3 sentences, and that's enough. Let's try. So one type of shadowing that you can do is repeat in parts.
Y entonces,
Y entonces,
entonces el primer pueblo por el que pasamos
Sorry.
fue Monsanto. Y entonces este pueblito está
entonces este pueblito, y entonces este pueblito está
encima de una colina.
encima de una colina. Encima de una colina. I can try the sentence again.
El pueblito está encima de una colina.
Sorry.
Monsanto. Y entonces este pueblito está encima de una colina.
Oh, that was too fast. Really fast. Pueblito. Okay, I want to say pueblicito. What's that? Let me try again.
Y entonces este pueblito está el pueblo por el que pasamos fue Monsanto. Y entonces este pueblito está encima de una colina. Nosotras
that's also very interesting. Like those interjections, people in different languages use different sounds to show that they're thinking. And in Spanish, this is often and you can also learn it from this video. Nosotras, nosotras,
colina. Nosotras empezamos a,
well, in this case, a is a preposition, but she also just like I've just done it with also. So she prolonged the vowel to give herself time to think what she's going to say next, which is also one of the strategies that people use to let themselves think what they're going to say next. And again, what you can learn from this video and from shadowing is that the Spanish also do it.
Colina. Nosotras empezamos a subir al pueblo.
Subir al pueblo. Subir al pueblo. Subir al pueblo.
Empezamos a subir al pueblo con el coche.
Con el coche. Con el coche. Con el coche.
Nosotras empezamos a subir al pueblo con el coche,
Coche.
con el yarisito.
Con el yarecito. Con el yarecito.
Y como ya he dicho,
Y como ya he dicho,
yo conducía
yo conducía. Yo conducía.
el coche.
¿Ok?
El pueblo por el que pasamos fue Monsanto. Y entonces,
Y entonces este pueblito está encima de una
colina.
colina. Nosotras
Nosotras empezamos
empezamos a
subir
al pueblo
con el
con el
coche,
coche,
con el
con el
yarisito.
yarecito. Y
como ya he
como ya he
dicho,
dicho, yo conducía.
Yo tenía
Yeah, that's what you can do. This repetition together with the person. So this is the shadowing, right? It can help you work on your rate of speech. It can help you work on your intonation, because you will probably hear, if your intonation is really wrong, you might already hear it while you're pronouncing. If not, you can also record yourself either while you're talking at the same time as the person, so shadowing them, or you can just, practice and then record yourself and just yourself and listen to it, and then listen to the person again and listen to yourself again, and try and hear what have you done differently and what you could change. Another thing I wanted to talk about is that you can also do that kind of shadowing with slower speech. You can try and repeat what they're saying slower.
Nosotras
empezamos and if you do it slower, it gets really easy to actually look at what the person does with their mouth and also try and repeat that. So how does she say it? I will try to do the same. Yeah. And another thing you can also do is maybe mute the video and also look at how this person again moves their lips and their mouth, and maybe make some conclusions. So for example, in this case, so what I can see, for example, is that she moves her lips like closer to the front a lot, right? For sounds like it's probably the o sound or the u sound, and her lips are really active. She uses them really actively, while, for example, in my native language, which is Russian, your lips are usually quite relaxed. And this is also something you might see when Germans speak, and if you mute them, you will also see that their lips don't move a lot, or at least like many people don't move their lips a lot. And this is again an important piece of information about a language, about the pronunciation in this language. How much do people move their mouths at all? Yeah, that could be interesting as well. Okay, I hope that I've helped you to understand how exactly you can do shadowing, although it would probably take me, like when I used to sell courses, when I used to give lessons, it took me a lot of time to actually explain how to do it and to do it together with my students. Yeah, it took us weeks to learn, so I couldn't possibly show you everything in this short video. But if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments and I will do my best to answer all of the questions that you have. Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If not, sorry, not sorry, but I will do my best to make the next video more useful for you, so don't worry and come back and watch the next one. Yeah, my name's Ina. You've been watching it in English. See you in the next one.